Good journey, everyone. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. I am the Crucial Crew member, and this is Space Oats podcast, a Crucial Crew podcast. Tonight, we got a lot of amazing Star Wars stuff to talk about. As usual, right? Always a lot of Star Wars. It's crazy how much Star Wars there is, right? It almost makes it not easy being a Star Wars fan. But you know what? That's great. When there's lots of Star Wars content, we love that. We love talking about Star Wars. So a little bit of quick rundown about tonight's episode. Tonight is episode 14 of Space Oats podcast. If you have never listened to or watched any of the Space Oats podcast before, you can go back and listen to a lot of the podcasts on Spotify. Google Podcasts right now is pretty much the two areas where I have that able to be streamed. So if you have any of those available, you can go back and listen to any of those episodes. Obviously, this is a live broadcast, so sometimes I will show things and you won't see that if you're listening in on the podcast. But you can always go back on the YouTube channel as well and see some of, not all of them, because I didn't start doing the YouTube thing until a little bit later. Yeah, so man, we got a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to go ahead and take a quick run through of last week's episode of The Mandalorian, chapter 19, the convert. We're going to talk about that episode before the new episode drops tonight. Star Wars Jedi Survivor, the trailer, story trailer there. So we're going to, I watched that today. So we'll talk about that trailer for Jedi Survivor and see what everybody has to think about that coming up. Bad Batch Season 2. Episode 13, Pabu, last week's episode. A little bit of talk about that in preparation again for another episode of the Bad Batch to drop tonight. And then, find out like what I've been kind of watching today, which is kind of a callback to something that I haven't watched in years, actually. So we're gonna look at that a little bit. And talk about something that that has a little bit of history today in Star Wars. I took a little trip to Galaxy's Edge as well recently, so we'll go through and talk about that recent visit for me at Galaxy's Edge. And then, you know what, if anybody joins in and they want to comment on anything and talk about anything, we'll discuss any of that as well. But time is running, and you know what? I only give myself about an hour to do this, so I don't like to go over that. So we're gonna get right into this and start this up. So first things first. Let's talk about The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian, chapter 19, The Convert. That was last week's episode. So what did you think about The Mandalorian last week? I thought it was. Again, I wouldn't say it. So I'm still loving episode 2 the best. The previous week, chapter 18, that was my favorite episode so far. But this one definitely was. I like this one better than the first episode of the season. A lot going on here. Not much with the Mandalorian. Here's of the Halcyon loved it. Okay, that's cool. I loved it too. So I did love it. However, not as much as episode 2. I love the ending of episode 2. I thought it was fantastic, but or chapter 18. I get confused with the Mandalorian because they're going by these whole chapter things, and it's not really episode 2 because, I mean, if you go season 3, episode 2, but we're just gonna go with how they're kind of releasing them. It's chapters. This is chapter 19, so we've had chapter 17, 18, and 19. So. Chapter 19, The Convert. We've had 2 different stories going on here. So it starts off with the Mandalorian. Yeah, you can't beat the Mythosaur. I wish we would have seen the Mythosaur though. But hopefully we'll get this. I'm sure we're going to get to see the Mythosaur later in the episode. That's my prediction. I'm pretty much guaranteeing that it's got to happen. But so started off with Mandalorian and Bo-Katan. So basically coming off straight from last week's episode. I thought we were going to see the Mythosaur right away. I love how it kind of started off with, obviously Mandalorian did not see it. There was that conversation between Bo-Katan and Mandalorian. She was like kind of testing him. She saw it because you could just tell. I love how even though we got the helmets on the entire time, you can just see the emotions just by the way that Katie Sackhoff and Pedro Pascal, that you can almost tell what's on their face without even seeing their face, which is it's genius. And you could see the shock in her face without even seeing her face. So she's trying to test out Mando, basically she's asking Din, did you see anything when you were down there? All this good stuff. And of course, he has no idea. He was pretty much unconscious the entire time, or out of it. So she kind of just like, okay, never mind then, and just kind of throws it aside. Like, I don't want to talk about it. Maybe, it's almost like she doesn't believe what she's seen. Because, at this point in time, she's kind of like, especially with the previous chapter, you can tell she's not a believer. As she was like going through the whole legend of the Mythosaur with him, you could just hear it in her voice that she's just like, it's a bunch of crap. And she doesn't believe in it. But now you can already see the change just in the tone of her voice, everything. She's kind of got that, is this really a thing? And to have that sudden change in belief just thrown on you because you've actually seen something. You hear stories of people all the time that, they have these like revelations, these visions, and it just changes everything about them. And sometimes it's instantaneous. And I think that's kind of what they're paralleling here with Bo-Katan in this scene. And so as they're heading back to her castle, we get an awesome, and I say awesome, I mean, this has got to be one of the best dogfighting scenes in all of Star Wars. The TIE interceptors, Bo-Katan flying through the mountains. I mean, low-level dogfighting. In my mind, and this is just me going out on a crazy theory here. So Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron canceled. My thought process, and I heard some other people say, Top Gun, amazing, and it was Top Gun Maverick, awesome, great dogfighting, great storytelling, and did very well. And I think, I heard people saying that Lucasfilm, feeling that they weren't going to live up to that style. It's already been done. It wasn't going to get the hype. People maybe weren't going to, were maybe going to be expecting something like that, and they weren't getting it from whatever Rogue Squadron was going to be. My actual thoughts is that they probably saw that this scene in Mandalorian and were like, and maybe looked at Rogue Squadron and saw that whatever as a whole was being created for Rogue Squadron wasn't even going to live up to this scene, because this scene was outstanding. I could definitely go, I could watch a Rogue Squadron movie if it was that type of dogfighting the entire movie. Maybe some in space, but I love the ground level assaults of anything that was in Star Wars, even in Force Awakens with the X-Wings as they're, flying low level on Takodana across the water. Just those types of scenes, the low level, on planet dogfighting, that to me, that's what I want to see. That's what I want to see in Star Wars as far as a Rogue Squadron movie. And my thoughts is that's not what we were going to get. And I think that maybe this scene and what maybe they were seeing early stages caused them to rethink Rogue Squadron. That's my thought. So I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe not. Maybe that's just me being crazy. Maybe there was a lot of other reasons. I don't know. That's just what I'm thinking. But I love that. It was outstanding. We get the TIE Interceptors. Obviously, TIE Interceptors, one of my favorite. You can't see it, but I have the old TIE Interceptor, the original OG TIE Interceptor. It's in some rough shape. I had to kind of piece it back together and just put it on a shelf, and it's just kind of staying there, and I can't really move it. Otherwise, the wings are going to fall off. But I love the TIE Interceptors. My favorite one. That's why I love also Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator, and then Kylo Ren's ship as well, because they kind of take off that TIE Interceptor look. So yeah, the TIE Interceptor, the TIE Bombers coming in, and what a scene when they think the battle's done. Oh, and then Din doing that paratrooper drop out of the ship, and at the last second, hitting his jetpack, landing, jumping in the M1, and that dogfighting just continuing, them pairing up, splitting up, doing all this cool stuff. Bo-Katan, hitting that wing to make it fly up and do that stop and rotate. Again, honestly, I don't think that Rogue Squadron was going to live up to that scene, and I think that they were basing it off of that. That's just it. Until somebody tells me that is definitely not the reason, and they have proof, that's going to be my reason. When they think everything's done, then you see that explosion, and I knew it right away. And man, did my heart! I don't know if anybody else's heart sank, but I felt it because I knew it was them bombing the castle, and I was like, oh my gosh, no way. And then you see the TIE bombers, and they're bombing Bo-Katan's castle. Her home destroyed. Of course, she's going after them, and then we see just a army of interceptors and ships. Where are these coming from? So my guess is this is kind of precursor to Thrawn, a little bit. Maybe there's another general or somebody under him that this is going to tie back to first, but then be like a stepping stone to getting to Thrawn. Or maybe at the very end is when basically somehow, who knows? Maybe we might see Thrawn in The Mandalorian season 3. I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of surprises. I mean, we've pretty much seen everything in the first 3 episodes from the trailer. There's not much left in the trailer, and I haven't really gone back and watched the trailer to see what scenes were missing. I know we haven't really seen the droid bar yet, but I don't really think there's much left that we're missing from the trailer, with really tangible story moments. So yeah, there's a lot going on. So that was just the first part of the show. Then we take a whole side story and we go to Coruscant. So much stuff in Coruscant. We have, for one thing, and I'm hoping someday they come to Galaxy's Edge or they come to Star Cruiser, is the glow pops. The glow popsicles, I just have to say, that's awesome. And I was even looking online. You can actually buy popsicles that glow in the dark. Did you know that? I had no idea. I kind of want to get some now. But I want this to show up in Galaxy's Edge or something. Mike, how you doing? Rising Moons. I was at Galaxy's Edge last night. We'll talk about that a little later. But yeah, so many things happening on Coruscant. I could do we could spend so much time talking about all the things on Coruscant. I mean, it took me back to some of the books, the Legends books, when they used to visit Coruscant. And I remember them at some point, I can't remember what book it was, but they talked about that peak of the mountain in one of the old Legends novels. I swear they did. And that was like the only place you could go in Coruscant where you could actually see the actual planet, which was really cool. That was a cool spot to see as well. It was neat to see that they're trying to, give some of these old ex-Imperials a new chance with this like amnesty program. We get to see, this is where Dr. Pershing is basically getting taken, which is pretty cool. I love his character. It's pretty awesome. It seems like, he just really he tells a really cool backstory about him and why he got into cloning. And you really feel for him as far as, he was just on the wrong side. But he just wanted to do good. And the whole, when it comes into play, ethics as far as like cloning and stuff. I know we've had discussions like that in real world examples. And this is kind of like how Star Wars is like playing off of that a little bit. We have Elia Kane returning. Last time we saw her was with Moff Gideon. Coruscant first mentioned, and Heir to the Empire. I know. I remember, and I totally remember reading that. Timothy Zahn actually came up with Coruscant, which is pretty awesome. That eventually it became canon. I just can't remember if it was in that book that they talked about like the mountain, which we actually got to see. But I know that was, I want to say it was mentioned in one of his books, or it could have been some of the books after that he didn't do. But I haven't read those in so long. So, but so Elia Kane returns. We think she's part of this amnesty program. I mean, it looks like she is, but then you kind of hint that maybe she's trying to get Pershing. It almost feels like she's working undercover there, kind of like something's not right, and you're like, is she still working for the Empire? And she's trying to maybe break Pershing out, or get him somewhere where they can, kidnap him back. Oh yeah, definitely. The original trilogy of Thrawn books was really good. I love that. And I love how we're bringing all this stuff back, and now it's all coming back into the Mandalorian too. So hopefully we're going to get a lot of like connection back to the books and some of the themes there, things that we loved about it. But so then Elia King kind of, she says she can get Pershing the equipment he needs, and they kind of go to this other part of Coruscant where, they're deconstructing all the Star Destroyers and everything, and then she turns him in. And then she like decides to wipe his mind, because they're going to erase, like, not really erase, but they were going to kind of like re-educate him with this like mind flayer thing, kind of reminiscent of like what we saw what happened with like Rix in Andor, but apparently the New Republic has a nicer way of doing it. But apparently there's a way to crank it up to go back to that pretty much wiping the mind type of deal, which is what Elia Kane does, it seems like. So, and then we had that it's a trap moment with the Mon Calamari, which was pretty funny. I love that. So, okay, so Mike Farnham found this. The Monterey Mountains were created for Heir to the Empire. Okay. He stated that he knew that Coruscant was a planet-wide city, but assumed that there would be still a few areas of wilderness. Okay. All right. So, yeah, I think so he did probably mention it in Heir to the Empire. So that's cool. Thanks, Mike, for digging that up. Appreciate that. Love it when people join in and they do research for me, because I don't have time to do that. So after that whole Coruscant scene, which was a majority of the episode, this was actually this was the longest running episode of Mandalorian, by the way. It was like 50 some minutes long. I actually felt it was perfect. I did not feel like it was long at all. I love the story parts. Reminded me of Andor a little bit in the middle there. And I hope we get more of that kind of stuff. And then we went back to Mandalorian. At the end with Bo-Katan. He's taking her to where the covert is, the new Mandalorian covert, taking her back there. Proof that he bathed in the living waters. Basically, they determined that living waters were real by putting them in this little sacred like water urn thing that the armorer has. She knows it is the living waters because it does all this crazy mystical stuff. Realized that really Bo-Katan has cleansed herself by in the living waters as well, and neither of them have removed their helmets, which is really cool. That the whole episode we've never seen them remove their helmets. So, you click, you see, kind of notice that in the beginning, at the end, and then it's impacted that that's the case. And then basically Bo-Katan is welcomed into the Mandalorian way. So as far as this creed, so, and she kind of agrees, but even like I felt that it's kind of reluctant for her. She's just not really sure she wants to do this. So is there going to be some kind of struggle? Is she still not really a believer? I'm curious as to what's going to happen with that. So I think I think there's going to be a kind of like a come to terms both sides, honestly. Mike loves the backstory of the Doctor. I do too. I love how they really humanized him in this episode, and the foreshadowing of her riding the Mythosaur. Her or him, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know if it's going to be her or him. I keep going back and forth, but I guess we'll find out. But I do feel that it's going to be one of them. It's going to be one of them before the end of this season. We're going to see that happen. So, Mandalorian. I just saw this a little while ago, and I'm kind of going to go through this on StarWars.com. They actually just dropped out the new Mando merch because, every Tuesday, Mando Mania, we get first look at some new merch. So I'm just going to run through this real quick. Some of the Mando merch. We got a Paz Vizsla 1/6 scale mini bust by Gentle Giant, limited to 3,000 pieces, 6-inch bust. Pretty cool looking. I'm not into the whole Gentle Giant stuff, but if you're into that, it looks pretty cool. Paz Vizsla looks amazing. I mean, cool Mando there. Another action figure from the Book of Boba Fett released. So we have Cad Bane, which is pretty awesome. I might have to get this one. I might have to find this. I might have to get this. It's a Cad Bane vintage collection from the Book of Boba Fett. A 3/4 inch scale action figure. So looks really cool. I'm a huge Cad Bane fan, so I might have to try to find that and get that. We got some Grogu cufflinks by Cufflinks. It says "This is the way" on the one side with Grogu. The other side actually has the Mythosaur skull. So I love how they're actually tying that. Grogu is now he's going under the Mandalorian way. So he's got the Mythosaur skull connected with him on this cufflink. So they look pretty cool. I'm not a big on the Grogu merch though. So if it just had the Mythosaur skull, I'd totally get it. We got a Mandalorian N1 Starfighter Microfighter by Lego. So it's one of the smaller ones, the smaller pieces. Usually they run around $20 or so. Pretty neat. I'm not a big Lego guy. If I got into that, I'd probably spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And then last but not least, we have This Is the Way stud set by Girls Crew. I don't know how all these like earring things work, but it's a cool little, it's got some cool designs on it. It's a Mandalorian and Grogu chain ear cuff, along with a Darksaber and N1 Starfighter earring as well. So yeah, I don't know. I never understood how all those things work, but if that's your thing, you can check some of that new merch out. Mike was bringing up that she tried to keep it a secret. She wants to rule again, get the darks. Yeah, I mean, part of me says, yeah, she's got that part of her that wants to get the Darksaber back, but then part of me thinks that she's gonna be a believer in Din Djarin and kind of maybe see that he's maybe somebody that should be taken over. I don't know. Mike's old school 3/4. Yes, definitely. $2 back then. $20 these days. Yeah, I stopped collecting the figures with the Power of the Force. With yeah, I mean, I did the whole first wave of Episode 1, which I have on my wall, but that's when I stopped totally. I'll only get like a figure if it's like really awesome, and this Cad Bane might be my one. But I'm gonna start going back and like collecting some of these characters that I've been like showcasing on my Crucial Character. Those that have like Black Series figures, I'm gonna start trying to find those and collecting those. But yeah, exactly. It's her secret, but I don't know. I just have this feeling that it's still gonna come back with him. That is a good point. If she keeps it a secret, and but I think it's gonna come back on her though. I don't know. It's just her keeping it a secret just is kind of like planning her as the bad guy, and I don't want her to be the bad guy. Like I want her to join forces with all the other Mandalorians, and I want everybody to like just build Mandalore back as one. And I think the only way that together as one feel is gonna be is if Din actually is the one to keep the saber. Her family used to rule Mandalore. Yeah, but they lost it. They lost it. She wants it back, but I think she's gonna see that she's gonna realize that maybe it belongs to somebody else. Maybe that I think it's gonna pass on to somebody else. I honestly do. I think it's gonna be Din. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out, Mike. We'll find out. I just have this gut feeling. I don't know. My gut's not always right though. So, but yeah. So we have The Mandalorian, amazing episode. Can't wait for this week's episode of The Mandalorian that airs tonight. Obviously, we do not know the name of that episode yet because we never get the names of the episode. We just know that it's chapter 20 right now. But it will, when it drops on Disney Plus, we'll know the name of that episode. So let's see. Mike's saying that didn't the leader ride the Mythosaur according to their legends? It seems to line up perfectly for her. It. I don't know. I honestly I think the Mythosaur, like riding the Mythosaur, is going to be like, "Are you worthy?" type of deal. And like, I just don't think she's worthy. I honestly don't. I just don't think she's worthy. I think Din's worthy. So we'll find out though. We're gonna have to wait a while because I don't think that's gonna happen until the end. So, but yeah. So anyway, enough about the Mandalorian. We talked a lot about. I'm like halfway through this, and I've just talked about the Mandalorian. Got a lot of other stuff to talk about. I kind of before I had to go to Bad Batch though. Don't know if anybody saw or if anybody's excited about Jedi Survivor, but they had that trailer that was released yesterday. I loved Fallen Order. Fallen Order was amazing. I was a late comer when it came to Fallen Order because I don't have any consoles. I don't have any PlayStation, Xbox, anything like that. The way I got Fallen Order was when don't watch any cartoons. Oh, well, this is the video game. Do you play video games, Mike? So Fallen Order, I came in late because I don't have consoles. I'm not a gamer, but I really wanted to play it. It looked cool. I heard great things about it. So Google had Stadia, which you didn't have to buy a console. You just had to buy a controller, and you got to basically buy the games and stream them. And it was real cheap. It was like $20 at the time. So I bought the controller, streamed it. Of course, Stadia went down, but I played it a lot. I beat it, everything, and I played it a lot all the way up until Stadia went down. Oh, Bad Batch. Yeah, I'm going to talk about Bad Batch after this. No games either. Not since Atari Jedi Arena. Ooh, that's taken. That's going back. That's going back. I played that one time. I had a friend that had an old Atari system, and he had that. That was really cool. But yeah, so Fallen Order is amazing. I mean, definitely one of the better Star Wars games. I mean, Force Unleashed was really cool for the Wii when that came out, but this just ups it big time. And it's not, obviously it's not motion. Like Force Unleashed was really cool because you were actually swinging the saber and you were going by the motions. But Fallen Order is just really good quality, and it has some really good characters. And a lot of those characters are back. Marin is back, which, if as you know, she's a Night Sister, which I love. The Night Sisters, one of my favorite characters in Clone Wars. I really hope that we see Night Sisters live action at some point. That would be really cool. She's got a little bit of a change of look, which is really cool. Her hairstyle is pretty awesome. It looks like everybody else is back on the Mantis that were in the first episode, and we had a lot of cool looking bad guys with sabers and stuff. So it just looks really neat. The problem with me is I don't know when I'm going to play this because Stadia went down. Google discontinued that. I mean, I'm trying to like figure out how to like stream games some other way. So I just really haven't come up with a good system yet. So I'm working on it though, and hopefully I can figure something out and I can stream this game pretty quick. I'm just looking for something. I mean, Stadia was amazing. I could play it on my living room TV, and I got like no lag whatsoever, and I didn't have to download it to anything. It was all in the cloud, and it was pretty amazing. So I'm just trying to figure out how to replace that system that was so outstanding, but it just didn't do good because I think I think the gaming systems have the market, and they just kind of did that whole thing where whatever they do to make sure it doesn't succeed, because they would have lost a lot of money. Honestly, I know Xbox is trying something like that, but right now you have to have a Samsung TV in order to do that, and I don't have a Samsung smart TV. All my smart TVs are other brands because I don't really like Samsung. So I'll have to wait for it to come to another or them to get out of that beta format, and hopefully I can get it because I really want to play this new Jedi Survivor. There's also a book. I'm not a reader, but there's a book that ties in between the two. Kind of tells a little story in between, because I think this happens a few years after, maybe even like up to 5 years after Fallen Order. So it'll be interesting to see how this story plays in. So if you're not a gamer, I really encourage you, if you do have a gaming system that plays Fallen Order or a PC or anything, I definitely encourage you to pick up Fallen Order. You can probably get it really cheap now, but Fallen Order was excellent. That was amazing. Amazing game. I played it at least twice all the way through. The story mode is outstanding. Yeah, really, really, really good. Going on to Bad Batch. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on Fallen Order, but do they make it for the Pong system? That's hilarious. I love you, Mike. Mike's amazing. Mike, my history guy. So Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 13 last week, Pabu. Not my favorite episode. It seems to me like they're setting up like the end of Bad Batch. Kind of taking us to this island paradise place where it's hinted at, this could be a place where they could bring Omega and settle down and just, make a life for themselves as clones, not fighting in any wars, and just kind of hang up the towel. And, we kind of saw in the beginning of the episode, or no, that was last week. Never mind. But Star Wars everything that year. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I almost would agree with you. That year, like Fallen Order was the thing that came out, because that was a long time, a while back. I mean, when I finally got it, there was a lot of other stuff going on, but yeah, I mean, it was the talk of everybody, especially at work. Like everybody was like, "Oh, Fallen Order is amazing. Old characters go to die. Willow, Shazam." I don't even want to talk about Willow. I'm disappointed it wasn't renewed, honestly. Kind of hoped it would go on. Maybe in another 20 some years we'll get another Willow series. Yeah, so Bad Batch Pabu, not my favorite episode. I thought it was going to end differently. Like, I thought they were going to go to the island, and that whole thing that was wrong was them bringing the Empire to Pabu, and it was just going to be like they were going to feel guilty that they brought destruction to such a beautiful place. But that's not what happened. It's just some kind of like tidal wave that happens, and them just trying to save the village and everything. But so the visuals for animation has just come a long way, and I thought some of the visuals were very beautiful with the sunsets and the water. They're doing water with animation so well now. It's amazing. So it was a good episode. It just, to me, I mean, in the beginning, you had that Sid. They've obviously abandoned Sid, so that's come into play. That something's Sid might turn him in. Sid might turn him in. So, but we're gonna have to see what happens. Hopefully, this week's episode will get us back to some real stuff as far as the Bad Batch, and if it's tying into Crosshair, and maybe even going back to meeting up with Rex and Cody. Maybe we get some more Talos stuff of what's going on with the cloning. There's just so much out there, and there's so little time left. So yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen with this, but we're getting close to the end. So the next episode title is Tipping Point. So we only got 3 episodes left. So this is Tipping Point. Tipping Point. I don't know. I think this is just there's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot that happens in this episode. That just from the title just sounds like something's gonna just there's a culmination of something happen here. What's happening with right? We need more Crosshair. We've only had 2 episodes with Crosshair this season. 2. And both of them were my favorite episodes. By far. Both of them were my favorite episodes. Solitary Clone and The Outpost were my favorite episodes this season. I mean, like, way up. I would say Solitary Clone, number 1, Outpost, number 2, and then, like, everything else is, like, down here. So, the one with the Zillow Beast was pretty cool, too, but that was pretty cool. It had a little bit of cool horror alien stuff to it. But yeah, hopefully we'll get some craziness, and we have 3 episodes left. I think these last 3 have to be a story arc, and finishing strong. So I think it's gonna start out strong, and we're gonna end this episode with like really big cliffhanger going into the final 2. That's what we got going. So I had posted like right before I posted on Instagram like that I was watching something today, something that I hadn't watched in a really long time. This is moving on, by the way. I love how I transitioned very well, right? Bobby wakes up and it's all a dream. That's funny. And by the way, Mike, this next segment is also probably not up your alley either, but but I was watching something today that I hadn't watched in years, and you could see a hint of it in the background, actually, right over there. So it was the anniversary of the Clone Wars micro series, season 2. You understood that reference? I think a lot of it. Well, I don't know. I understood that reference too, but and I don't consider myself that old, although I'm pretty much old enough to be the father of pretty much most of the cast members I work with at Disney. But anyway, so season 3 of, and it's weird the way it works, but it's not really season 3. It was kind of like season 2, but like the Clone Wars micro series. If anybody remembers this, Clone Wars micro series kind of had 3 different kind of releases, because you had like the first 10 episodes were only like 3 minutes long. They're really tiny. It was the micro series. Genny Turtowski. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but also Paul Ruddish. Amazing. I mean, it's Emmy award winning for the work on the 20 episodes that they did. But the first 10 episodes were like 3 minute long episodes. Yeah. No, actually the first 20 were they were all 3 minute episodes. So the first whole 20 episodes were 3 minutes long. They're kind of broken up into 10 episodes apiece. And I think they were released kind of that way. I can't really remember. Can't remember how they were broken up, but it was in the fall of 2002 was when they first appeared. They won an Emmy. They were going to bring it back for another season. So this was technically season 2. There was 5 more episodes, but the last 5 episodes were 12 minutes apiece. And basically the last 5 episodes at this point in time, because the other Clone Wars, nothing. This was it. This was the only thing outside of the films, kind of leading up to Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith was gonna be coming out, and these 5 episodes, the 12 were gonna lead right up to the start of Episode 3. So, and it really did, and it was really cool how it was done. Basically, how General Grievous captured Chancellor Palpatine. So if you watch these 12 episodes, these 5 episodes right before Revenge of the Sith, it really tells a really cool story. And obviously most of it is obsolete now because we have the new Clone Wars series, which pretty much retconned everything in the micro series. But it still works in a way. Some of it does. This was the first appearance of General Grievous. In fact, General Grievous debuted in the Clone Wars micro series episode 20, which was kind of volume 1. And then volume 2 is the last 5 episodes. General Grievous is in majority of the volume 2. Again, kidnapping Chancellor Palpatine. This is actually, it explains why General Grievous has a cough in episode 3, which is pretty cool. I think it's Mace Windu. I watched it today and I totally missed it, but pretty sure it was Mace Windu that like force pushes him and it like kind of like crushes in his like chest piece, which like causes him to like injure himself a little bit, which is why he has the cough in episode 3. So it explained that. Of course, that's been changed. Though I don't watch the cartoons, I did collect the comics. Okay, cool. See, I'm not a big comic person, but I love the animation. And Gendy, I really wish I was pronouncing his name right, because I know I'm not. Gendy Tartovsky, who basically is the writer, director, creator, mastermind behind a lot of things. If you like Cartoon Network back in the day, Dexter's Laboratory, Powerpuff Girls, I was a huge Powerpuff Girls fan. Samurai Jack, love Samurai Jack. He did all those. So the animation style is amazing. In fact, this morning when I woke up, I like saw this and I was like, is it on Disney Plus? I was like, I can't remember. So I pulled up Disney Plus, and it's funny because it is literally, if you go to the Star Wars page, it is the last thing on the Star Wars page. Like, you have to go all the way to the bottom to like the extras, and then you have to go all the way to the right. And it's the last thing Star Wars on the Disney Plus Star Wars page. So I started watching it this morning, volume 2, the last 5 episodes. I really want to go back and watch the other ones as well because it's got some great Ventress stuff as well. But started watching it this morning, and as soon as I put it on, my wife was like, "What is this?" And I explained to her what it was. She's like, "I like the animation." And then I kind of reminded her like where the animation, of course, Powerpuff Girls, we kind of watched that. So she was like, "Oh yeah, okay, I can see that." Cartoon Network, all those episodes and stuff. So the art director, Paul Ruddish, basically he was part of it as well. Yeah, there was a pretty cool article. I was like actually pulled up one of my old Star Wars Insider magazines, which I'm showing a picture of this. But I see the animation style is awesome. I love the animation style. But yeah, so I was reading that article. It was a cool little interview with the both of them. And yeah, man, I haven't had any of my drink. I was like feeling it. I'm like, I do like Ren and Stimpy. Totally different people. South Park again, totally different. Yeah, Ren and Stimpy. I used to watch Ren and Stimpy and South Park like religiously. I'm big into like cartoons and animation, so I have respect for it, all of it. So can't wait for Star Wars Visions season 2, and I'm always looking forward to all sorts of new animation coming out. So love it. But I'm a big Clone Wars fan, as everybody knows. I love Clone Wars. I pretty much watch that all the time. So the micro series, that's where it all started. Kind of like launched that. I think the success of the micro series led to the actual Clone Wars animated series. It's just kind of unfortunate that they couldn't kind of keep those stories. But there was a lot of cool stuff. Like it goes into Anakin and him. It kind of like not really, but kind of shows that he gets his scar at some point during the Clone Wars. It foreshadows his fall to the dark side a little bit when he's becoming a Jedi. It actually shows when he goes in and he actually gets kind of becomes a Jedi Knight and no longer is a Padawan. And they do this whole like ritual thing, and they kind of chop off his little thing that he had in Attack of the Clones. Wonder if they would do a Star Cruiser cartoon. The comics seem to do well. I have heard that before. I can't remember where I heard it recently, but somebody was talking about that before. Like a Star Cruiser. I was almost going to say, was it Heroes of the Halcyon, but I guess not. If you guys are like, oh, that would be amazing. I only listen to 3 well, I do listen to like 4 podcasts, Star Wars podcasts. I listen to Wookiee Radio. I listen to Heroes of the Halcyon, obviously. Heroes of the Halcyon, I listen to all the time. Princess and the Scoundrel, I listen to probably the second most. Either the 5 podcasts. Princess and the Scoundrel, Thank the Maker, Who's the Bosk, and Wookiee Radio, and I guess you can count Armor Party in there as well. So I guess 6. I listen to a lot of podcasts about Star Wars, and I want to listen to more. I just can't find the time. But somebody said one of those recently. I can't remember who I was listening to, but one of those recently was talking about an animated Star Cruiser. I doubt it was Mike Celestino because he doesn't really talk about Star Cruiser that much. My thoughts are it was Sarah and Steven, but I don't know. They don't really talk about series. So I'm guessing Thank the Maker. Maybe it was Thank the Maker that was talking about an animated Star Cruiser series. I don't know who it was. Now I kind of want to go back and listen to what I listened to recently. But I think that would be a way to introduce, to see if people would like it. I don't know. I don't think it could stand on its own, though. I think the way to introduce the Halcyon into any sort of either live action or animation is to bring it into another series as just maybe the route of travel of somebody, which is why I think it should show up in Andor. I honestly think that it should show up in Andor season 2. Mon Mothma, I think, she's Chandrillan. You got to have some ties to Chandrilla, and she's the best bet. So, yeah, I think Mon Mothma would be the way to do it. We could see Adam saying that. Yeah, I could see Adam saying that. Adam, thank the maker. Yeah. So, I would love to see it show up in Andor. I was kind of hoping, that they would throw that, either a hint of it or something in the first season. Adam the Who. Adam from Thank the Maker, Mike. So, Thank the Maker podcast. Yeah, so yeah, that's it. I would love to see it show up in Andor, even if it's just mentioned. Adam the Woo. Oh my goodness, we're getting kind of crazy. Yeah, so Clone Wars microseries. I recommend it. Disney Plus. Watch it. It's really short. Like I said, like the first 20 episodes are like 3 minutes long. 3 minutes long. They're really cool. A lot of Asajj Ventress in the first 20 episodes. Some other cool characters that you see hints of maybe in some other series. We were waiting for Mon Mothma to talk about Chandrilla Starlines. Yeah, I mean, something. CSL being mentioned, Chandrilla Starlines. Maybe it would have been cool if that's like where her money was kind of being like routed through, like laundered through Chandrilla Starlines. That would have been a cool little, throw in. That's where like the shell company for her funds was going through Chandrilla Starlines. That would have been pretty awesome. But yeah, disappointing. But Andor was still amazing, and who knows? Maybe season 2 we'll get some talks about the Halcyon or Chandrilla Starlines at some point. It'll be a lot different. We won't have any of the characters during that time period. I don't even think Shog Jabor would be alive at that point, but I don't know how long Anzellans live. Maybe she escapes being captured by jumping on the Halcyon. Yeah, who knows? Stows away on the Halcyon to conceal a trip somewhere, getting on a luxury starline, We can see a couple scenes of her somewhere. Ship doesn't have to look the same. It's had a lot of changes over the years. It could look completely different and it would still be canonical, especially that far back in history. You just got to kind of go back with the legacy comics and see what it maybe looked like. But if you have a different part of the ship, don't even have to worry about that. But it would be cool if they came and filmed on the ship and they used us crew members as background characters. I would volunteer to be an extra. Definitely. Yeah, so I did go to Galaxy's Edge yesterday, kind of finishing up a little bit tonight. I'm going to be jumping off in a minute. But Galaxy's Edge I went to yesterday after work on the Star Cruiser. I was at the Star Cruiser yesterday. Mando shows up and they do Mando tie-in show called Mandalorian. That's, yeah, a little bit far-fetched there, Mike. I don't think that's going to happen. Sorry. Nope. But sometimes when I walk into Galaxy's Edge, I get a little disappointed. I mean, after being on the Star Cruiser and doing what we do on Star Cruiser and how amazing it is and how immersive we are, and then you walk into Galaxy's Edge sometimes and you just don't get that, I feel a little disappointed sometimes. But you never feel disappointed going into Oga's because the cast in there are great. From the outside to the inside, they're always themed. It doesn't matter if you've been there 1,000 times. They play it up for you. At least they do with me, and I love it. I got to go and sit at the bar again. I always get the bar. This is like 2 weeks in a row that I've gone there, and I get the bar every time. They know me very well there. I got the Fuzzy Tauntaun and the Jedi Mind Trick. I went with those this time. I haven't had those in a little bit. So yeah, it was good. I did go to Docking Bay 7 beforehand. I got a Ronto wrap as usual. Ronto Roasters was closed, so I had to go Ronto wrap and in Docking Bay 7. And I also got the Moof Juice, I think, which was pretty good. Non-alcoholic drink, but really tasty and refreshing. I loved it. Where does Batu fall short these days? So I want to. It's not their fault really at all. It's not really anybody's fault, except for the fact I'm going to blame COVID. Simply put, I'm blaming COVID because when we came back, we had to like shuffle people around everywhere to staff properly, and they just kind of had to open it up to pretty much anybody being able to work there. That was the thing. And we really haven't gone back to the like being really restrictive of the theming there yet. So hopefully that'll happen, and they'll change it back, and they'll get, we really need to make sure that the cast are using the theme language, and only trained cast can, that was the whole thing, train. But when they first opened, if you weren't trained in Galaxy's Edge, you could not work in Galaxy's Edge. And then it was kind of open where you could pretty much just be placed there at any time. Or you could, pick up, shifts to work there, or just trade shifts with other people. So not everybody knows the theming and the story, which is kind of a little disappointing sometimes. So, but I did a lot of the missions. I ran around. I've never gotten all the missions with the data pad, so I got some more stuff. So I tried to do the bounty hunters missions, but my Magic Band Plus was dead, and I can't find my charger. So one thing about having a Magic Band Plus is you actually have to have a charger for it, and I can't find it. I looked everywhere. Of course, my room is my Star Wars room is a mess. Is the Dianoga still broken? Yes, it is. Wait a minute, which Dianoga? The one in Doc Ondor's? Or the one outside? There's two of them. The one outside's broken by the water fountains. Water fountain, yeah, that's broken. The Dianoga in Doc Ondor's is still in there. I don't think it's ever done anything, but it's still in there. Parts and cost? Yes, probably. Parts and cost. Usually when something's broken and it's not fixed, it's parts and cost. Parts and cost. And honestly, I'm kind of ashamed. I'm kind of mad because I've never actually seen it live. I never noticed it. It was one of those things that I just always walked past and I just never saw. So I've never actually seen it. I wish it would work again. I wish they'd bring that back. But yep, nope, not working. Yeah, I wanted to do bounty missions. Didn't get to do that. I just did some other missions as far as on the data pad. A lot of rebel resistance people. They had pretty much control the entire time. I was trying to pump up the First Order. I don't know. I was in a mood, so I was like, I'm going First Order today. What about the big guns in Rise? They stopped moving for some time. I haven't been on Rise in a while. I actually wanted to ride Rise big time yesterday, but I got there. It didn't seem crowded. So Galaxy's Edge was not very crowded, but the wait times were long. So I think when I got there, Rise was 70 minutes, which honestly is not that long. For me, it's long. I don't like waiting in line. But it was 70 minutes. Falcon was actually the same. Falcon was long. Falcon actually got up to 1:15 yesterday. And Rise got up to 1:10 at one point while I was there. But then it went back down. I thought about getting into single rider for Falcon, ended up not. And then as I was walking out, Rise was down to 50. But if I would have waited and did Rise, I'd have gotten home a lot later. So I really wanted to head out at that point. Wish they would get the new missions online for smugglers. Yeah. How do you know there's new missions, Mike? There may not be. There might be. There's definitely a way to do it easy. It's just a projection system. I'm sure they have it planned. 2 more? What's your source? Where are you hearing these things? Heist and a race. Really? Where are you hearing this? I don't hear any of this stuff. They don't tell us anything, so I don't know. You could be right. You probably have more knowledge than I do. They have one up with a monster. Where? Who's telling you this, Mike? I want to know. What's your source? I have not heard any of this. They haven't even really said anything like that. That hasn't been a D23 or anything, has it? Did they say anything at D20? I don't get any of the D23 stuff because I'm not D23. I know it wasn't said anything at Anaheim last year at Celebration. They didn't say anything there. Pretty sure. JPEG at D20. Oh, 2017. That was a long time ago. That was before it even opened. They have artwork, really? Do you have the copies of that artwork? Can you send me that, Mike? I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that. Posted it in my group. Okay, cool. I'll have to go back and look at it if I can find it. Cool. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. I want to go back and see that. So yeah, Shapeback at 2000. Man, that was all. So that was like when they were first announcing Galaxy's Edge. Code names for the rides when building them. I used to. I can't remember. And they're actually there. I know that they're there too. Alcatraz, right? Okay. Yep. That's right. I know right away that that's right because they talk about it all the time. The cast. So it was a bird. Yeah, that's right. Big Bird. I think they called it Big Bird, actually. At least the cast. I think the cast called it Big Bird. Cast called it Big Bird. Yep. Cast called it Big Bird. Because I got to do a behind the scenes of Smuggler's Run, which was really cool to see actually how it works. We got to go like underneath of it, behind it, everything. It was really, really cool. And that's when I got to ride it, when basically you get to see what it's like when it breaks down, which very rarely ever happens. It's the ride that breaks down the least in all of Disney. May or may not have pictures. Of what? Of it breaking down? Or backstage? Ooh. How are you getting backstage? But yeah, so Galaxy's Edge, it's always good to visit Galaxy's Edge. Outside of Star Wars, I am going to try to get to the Flower and Garden Festival at Epcot this week. I made a reservation for Epcot Thursday. I'm off on Thursday, so I'm going to try to get there and get outside of Star Wars for a little bit and enjoy myself other places at Disney. And I'm actually not at Star Cruiser for the rest of the week. I was not there today. I was doing other things at other resorts, going back to my roots of custodial and training the water art over at Yacht and Beach Club. It's fun to go over there. And then it's the first time actually I've ever gone over there and done any work. And then tomorrow I'm teaching new traditions, new cast members. And then I'm doing that on Friday as well. So not been to Epcot in years. Captain EO was still there. I miss Captain EO. I really do. Miss Captain EO. There was an anniversary or something with Captain EO. Oh, I think, was it today that it was released in Tokyo Disney? I think was the anniversary. Hold on. I'll get this. I'll get this. Unless Mike beats me. Or was that yesterday? Might have been yesterday that I saw that. Yeah, I think it was yesterday. Oh, you know what today happened? Today was in 1997 was the final weekend of the very first Star Wars weekends at Disney's MGM Studios. That's what happened that I saw. Special edition. Special edition of what? But yeah, so today in 1997, the fifth and final weekend of the very first Star Wars weekends takes place at Disney MGM Studios. Oh yeah, March 1997 special editions. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had posted that Return of the Jedi. The only one that I don't think I saw because I was in the hospital. I had tickets, I just didn't get to go. But yeah, Star Wars weekend, something that I never got to do because I didn't come to Disney then. I was not a Disney person way back in 1997. I was not a Disney person back then. Yep. Yeah, it must have been yesterday, the Captain EO thing. 20th. Right, 20th. I know I read it somewhere. Just kind of looking back. Yeah, okay, yep. Yesterday, March 20th, 1987, Captain EO opened in Tokyo Disneyland Tomorrowland. It was the third Disney park to feature the Michael Jackson film. That's what it was. It was yesterday. My bad. Yesterday. Star Wars weekends. Last one I went to, I saw Carrie Fisher. Oh, so amazing. She had back pain, but now probably. Oh. She was amazing. She was amazing. Miss her dearly. So that I think about wraps it up. I kind of need to drop off. I need to go to bed. I gotta do a class tomorrow for new cast members, so I really need to get back to it. Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate you. Sometimes I feel like I just ramble on, but I really love doing this, and eventually, you know, eventually I would love to get a better setup, and I'd love to have somebody to just chat with and talk to live and do this. And I'd love it to be other cast members that I work with every day and like just have a different co-host every week. So yes, thank you, Mike, for joining. Thank you, Heroes of the Halcyon. I think I had somebody else watching. I don't know who that is, but thank you for joining, whoever that is. Please, 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 if you're not a subscriber, subscribe and like this podcast. Also, tell your friends. And follow me on Instagram, the Crucial Crew member. We got a lot of stuff coming up, getting ready for Star Wars Celebration. Still waiting on my badges to arrive. Hopefully they come soon. You know, you always get nervous when you're waiting for your badges. And then, yeah, so much to talk about. So we just, you know, listen to Heroes of the Halcyon. They're great family to me. I'm just going to start calling them family because we're Star Cruiser family. So, you know, need no stinking badges. I think you do. And I got a lot of them coming because I got day badges for every day. So I got 4 badges coming a piece for my wife and myself. So can't wait to go. And then, yeah, so we're rolling. We're rolling. This next month's going to go by quick. I don't know when I'm going to watch Mandalorian. I don't know when I'm going to watch Bad Batch because I'm not staying up tonight. I don't think I'm going to be able to watch it tomorrow morning before work. yeah, so I guess I'm going to have to watch it tomorrow night and try not to get any spoilers. Have a great week. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Here's of the Halcyon. Again, yeah, follow me on Instagram. Follow me on any other social media. Till the spire, may the stars light your way, and all that. Have a great evening, folks. Until next time, this is Space Oats Podcast, a Crucial Crew production. Thank you and good night.